You've been chasing love for a long time, scanning every social gathering for potential, overanalyzing conversations for signals, refreshing apps, and checking messages. The harder you look, the more elusive it seems. Here's what nobody tells you. The posture of desperate pursuit is one of the greatest obstacles to God revealing real love in your life. Not because God is withholding it as punishment, but because chasing produces a version of you that's too distracted, too anxious, and too focused on the wrong things to recognize what God is actually trying to show you. When you stop chasing, something shifts. Your vision clears, your discernment sharpens, and in that place of genuine surrender, that's when God reveals love in ways you never could have found by searching for it. The first thing that happens when you stop chasing is that God shifts your focus from finding love to becoming ready for it. When you're chasing love, your attention is almost entirely outward, scanning the environment for candidates, evaluating every new person as a potential partner, constantly assessing your own attractiveness and desirability in the eyes of others. That outward focus leaves almost no room for the inward work God is trying to do in you. And that inward work is the very thing that prepares you to recognize and sustain real love when it arrives. The moment you stop chasing, God redirects your attention. Instead of asking, "Who is out there for me?" you start asking, "Who am I becoming?" Instead of evaluating every person as a potential partner, you start engaging with people genuinely, without an agenda. Instead of spending emotional energy on the search, you invested in growth, in purpose, in what God has called you to in this season. And that shift in focus is exactly what God uses to prepare you for what He's preparing to bring. Think about Moses in Exodus 2-3. Before God brought him to Zipporah, Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness tending sheep, learning patience, learning humility, being broken of the pride his Egyptian upbringing had instilled. He wasn't a Midian looking for a wife. He was a fugitive working for his father-in-law Jethro. God used those 40 years to prepare Moses for leadership he couldn't yet imagine. And somewhere in that preparation season, God brought Zipporah into his life. The preparation wasn't a delay. It was making Moses into someone who could sustain both the calling and the relationship God had for him. God uses this season to develop the patience that real relationship will require, the security that doesn't crumble when things get hard, and the contentment that isn't dependent on your relationship status. He's teaching you to be whole on your own, so that when someone arrives, you're not looking for them to complete you, but to complement you. All of that preparation is making you ready for what God is preparing to reveal. Here's what's vital. Don't confuse preparation with punishment. When God is building you, instead of immediately bringing someone to you, He's not withholding love as a consequence for something you did wrong. He's making you ready for something that requires more of you than you currently have. The preparation isn't a delay, it's a gift. And when love arrives, you'll be grateful that God took the time to build you into someone who could actually sustain it. The second thing that happens when you stop chasing is that God clears your vision so you can see people clearly instead of through the filter of need. When you're chasing love, every person you meet gets evaluated through a distorting lens of need. You're not seeing them as they actually are. You're seeing them through the filter of what you want them to be. You project potential onto people who haven't earned it. You overlook red flags because the longing to be in relationship is stronger than your discernment. You mistake someone who's available and interested for someone who's actually right. And that distortion leads you into relationships that feel like answers but turn out to be detours. When you stop chasing, that filter lifts. You start seeing people as they actually are rather than as you need them to be. You notice things you were ignoring, inconsistencies in their character, misalignments in their values, patterns in their behavior that your desperation was causing you to explain away. And you also notice things you were missing, genuine qualities in people you dismissed because they didn't match your mental checklist or create immediate chemistry. Clear vision works in both directions. It helps you see who to avoid and who you've been overlooking. Think about Jacob in Genesis 29. He worked 7 years for Rachel, his eyes so fixed on what he wanted that he didn't even recognize Leah on his wedding night. His vision was so distorted by romantic pursuit that he married the wrong woman and didn't realize it until morning. That's what chasing does. It blinds you to reality. But when God gives you clear vision, when the desperation lifts, you stop making decisions based on projection and start making them based on truth. Proverbs 4 verse 23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything flows from it." Guarding your heart doesn't mean closing it off. It means being a faithful steward of your own emotional and spiritual life, not giving it away carelessly to anyone who shows interest. When you're chasing love, your heart is perpetually exposed and vulnerable. When you stop chasing, you become a better guardian of your own heart, and your discernment returns. Here's what's essential. Ask yourself honestly whether you're seeing the people in your life as they actually are or as you need them to be. Because if you're still projecting, still making excuses, still seeing potential where there's only patterns, you haven't fully stopped chasing. The posture of genuine surrender to God's timing clears your vision. And with clear vision, you stop pursuing the wrong people and start noticing the right ones. The third thing that happens when you stop chasing is that God positions you in the right places because you're finally following Him instead of your search. One of the most counterintuitive truths about how God works is that the season when you stop actively looking for love is often the season when He positions you to find it. Not because God is playing games with you, but because following Him faithfully positions you in places and contexts that you would never have arrived at if you were following the search instead. When chasing love is your primary pursuit, it drives your decisions. You go to places because of who might be there. You join communities based on the dating pool. You make choices about how you spend your time based on what maximizes your chances of meeting someone. And all of that romantic search-driven decision-making pulls you away from the simple obedience that positions you where God needs you to be. But when you stop chasing and start following, when your decisions are driven by God's leading rather than the search, you find yourself in the exact places where He's already arranged a divine appointment. Look at how Abraham's servant found Rebekah in Genesis 24. He wasn't wandering randomly, hoping to stumble across someone. He prayed specifically for God to show him the right woman for Isaac. Then he positioned himself where God directed, at the well, at the exact time when Rebekah would be drawing water. He was following divine instruction, not his own romantic strategy. And Rebekah appeared not because the servant was chasing multiple options, but because he was exactly where God told him to be at exactly the right moment, with clear criteria that God Himself fulfilled. The precision of that positioning couldn't have been manufactured by human effort. It required divine orchestration that only happens when you're following God rather than chasing outcomes. When you stop chasing and start following God, His positioning is far more precise than anything your search could produce. He knows where the right person is. He knows what environments will create the intersection He's planning. Your job isn't to optimize for meeting someone. Your job is to follow Him faithfully. And when you do, He puts you exactly where He needs you to be at exactly the right time. Here's what's fundamental. Examine what's driving your decisions right now. Are you going to certain places, joining certain communities, saying yes to certain invitations because God is leading you there, or because you're hoping someone will be there? The difference matters. Obedience-driven positioning brings you to divine appointments. Search-driven positioning brings you to more searching. Follow God faithfully in the ordinary decisions of your life, and trust that He's positioning you for purposes you can't yet see. The fourth thing that happens when you stop chasing is that God uses the stillness to speak to you about what you actually need, not just what you've been wanting. When you're constantly chasing love, the noise of that pursuit drowns out a crucial conversation God is trying to have with you. Not just about who you'll be with, but about why you've been chasing so hard. What wound is the chase trying to heal? What fear is it trying to outrun? What belief about your own worth is it trying to resolve through external validation? These are the questions God wants to address in the stillness. Because until they're answered, even the right relationship won't give you what you're actually looking for. Many people chase love not primarily because they want a relationship, but because a relationship represents something they're missing internally: approval, significance, security, the sense that they're worthy of being chosen. When you find a relationship while driven by those needs, you bring those unresolved wounds into it and expect your partner to heal them. That's a weight no person can carry. God wants to do that healing in the stillness, to address the wounds the chase has been trying to outrun, to answer the questions about your worth and belonging that you've been trying to resolve through being chosen by someone. Think about Hannah in 1 Samuel 1. She desperately wanted a child, and that longing consumed her. But notice what happened when she finally poured out her anguish to God in the temple, when she stopped trying to manage it on her own and brought her raw desire to Him. God heard her. He gave her what she longed for. But more than that, He met her in her pain. The stillness, the moment when she stopped striving and started surrendering, was when breakthrough came. God wasn't waiting for her to stop wanting. He was waiting for her to bring that want to Him completely. When you stop chasing and enter the stillness, God will show you things about yourself that the noise of pursuit was obscuring. He'll show you patterns in who you've been drawn to and why. He'll show you what you've been settling for. He'll show you the difference between what you've been wanting, which is often shaped by wounds and cultural messages, and what you actually need, which is shaped by who He created you to be. Here's what's revealing. Don't fill the silence of stopping the chase with other noise. Don't immediately replace romantic pursuit with busyness, entertainment, or distraction. Let the stillness be still. Bring God your honest questions about why you've been chasing, about what you're afraid of, about what you believe about yourself and your worth. And listen for His answers, because in that honest, quiet conversation with God, He'll reveal things that will transform not just your relationship status, but your entire understanding of love, worth, and what you're actually looking for. The fifth thing that happens when you stop chasing is that God brings love to you through obedience in an unrelated area. One of the most unexpected patterns in Scripture, and in the lives of people who have experienced God's faithfulness in this area, is that love arrives not through the pursuit of love, but through obedience in something completely unrelated. You're faithful in your career, and you meet someone through work. You say yes to a ministry commitment, and someone walks through the door. You obey God's prompting to move to a new city for a job that makes no financial sense. And that city is exactly where the person He has for you is already living. The obedience wasn't about finding love, but God used it as the vehicle to bring love to you. Think about Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. His focus was entirely on the work God had called him to, organizing the rebuilding, overcoming opposition, leading through an impossible task. There's no mention of Nehemiah looking for a wife or being distracted by romantic pursuit. His attention was completely absorbed by obedience to God's assignment. And yet, in the context of the restoration, families were being rebuilt, marriages were happening, the community was being restored in every dimension, including relationally. When you're faithful to God's assignment, He takes care of what you're not even focused on. Think about what area of your life God has been prompting you to step into that you've been hesitating on. The ministry He's been calling you to, the business He's been putting on your heart, the community He's been leading you to get more involved in. Many people are waiting to do those things until they have a partner. But God has often tried to use your obedience in those things as the very means by which He brings the partner. Here's what's telling. What has God been prompting you to do that you've been putting off? What obedience have you been delaying because you're waiting for circumstances to align, for your relationship status to change, for life to look more like what you think it should before you step out? Step out now, not as a strategy for finding love, but as genuine obedience to what God has been saying. And trust that in your obedience to His leading, He'll bring what He has for you at exactly the right time. The sixth thing that happens when you stop chasing is that the right person recognizes something in you that the chase was hiding. There's a quality in a person who has genuinely stopped chasing love, a settledness, a security, a wholeness that is deeply attractive in a way that the energy of pursuit never is. The person who is chasing sends signals they're often not even aware of: subtle desperation, an excessive eagerness, a tendency to present themselves as whoever they think the other person wants rather than who they actually are. And those signals, even when unspoken, are picked up by emotionally healthy people, and they create distance rather than connection. But the person who has genuinely stopped chasing, who is secure in God, content in their season, whole without a relationship, carries something entirely different. They're present in conversations without an agenda. They're interested in others without evaluating everyone as a potential partner. They're confident without performing. They're open without being desperate. And that combination is exactly what draws the right kind of person. Not because they're playing a game or following a strategy, but because genuine wholeness and security are genuinely attractive to another whole, secure person. Think about Esther in the book of Esther. When she was brought before King Xerxes along with many other women, she wasn't trying to outperform them or strategize her way into his favor. Esther 2 verse 15 says she asked for nothing other than what Haggai suggested. She didn't manipulate, didn't perform, didn't try to be anything other than who she was. And the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women. What attracted him wasn't her striving, it was her authentic presence. The woman who wasn't chasing approval received it. The qualities that the right person will be drawn to in you are the same qualities that get buried when you're in pursuit mode. Your genuine personality gets hidden behind performance. Your natural confidence gets replaced by nervous energy. Your real values get compromised when you're trying to be acceptable to whoever is available. But when you stop chasing and just be who God made you, fully, honestly, without apology, the right person will see that. And what they see will draw them in ways your performance never could. Here's what's imperative. Be who God made you to be, not who you think someone else wants you to be. Stop editing yourself for the market. Stop presenting a version of yourself calibrated for maximum appeal. The person who is drawn to the real you, your actual personality, your genuine faith, your real quirks and convictions and character. That's the person who can actually love you, because they're choosing who you are, not who you've performed for them. And that's the only foundation real love can grow on. Stopping the chase isn't passive. It's an active, intentional, daily decision to entrust the deepest desire of your heart to the God who knows better than you do how to fulfill it, and then living fully in the season you're in while He works. You're not telling God you don't want love. You're telling Him you trust Him more than you trust your own search. That's the posture that changes everything. Subscribe for more biblical truth about love and trusting God's timing.